Sports Scene, Hampton Road's premier interview show with Greg Bicouvaris, each Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11.
And you look at that, 4-4 at home, which is just average, 4-3-1 on the road. I mean, you're not going to win any games like that. They were not the same team after they beat the Packers, yet the Packers were a totally different team.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter @GregBic and listen weekly as Greg interviews distinguished guests with excellent commentary and insight. Sports Scene, Saturdays at 10 a.m. on the Lighthouse 100.1 FM. Good Italian food, daily specials, and a place people enjoy is Spaghetti Eddie's. Indulge in their mouth-watering pizza, pasta, subs, salads, appetizers, and desserts. Open 7 days a week. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Taylor Road in Chesapeake for lunch or dinner, and like them on Facebook. Italian food you can count on is Spaghetti Eddie's. From Chesapeake, Virginia, the Lighthouse 100.1 presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter @GregBic. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
Sports Scene, midweek online and Saturday, March 3rd on the radio from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on 100.1 FM, The Lighthouse, 10:10 a.m. and tunein.com by typing in WPMH in the search box. Sports Scene is an interview show, and also watch sports highlights on nnpstv.com. It's March Madness, everyone. Tell your friends about gjbtv.com. Click the YouTube link on the homepage for archived audio and video. Twitter @GregBic, that's GregBic, and you can see the rest of my Twitter handles on gjbtv.com in the contact section. Thank you to our military for what you do 24/7. Guest lineup presented by Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville, as well our featured guest, Robert Prunty, the head football coach at Hampton University. Stay tuned for that. Sponsors on gjbtv.com, marketplace sponsors, and Hampton Roads onlinemall.com. Phone line presented by Spaghetti Eddie's. Show presented by HRSMHOF.com with the big ceremony May 12th. That's Hampton Roads Sports Media Hall of Fame. Well, the women's A-10 final this Sunday in Richmond at the Coliseum. Great interviews, business segments, highlights, commentary, what teased me off. Thank you for making the habit to listen to Sports Scene weekly, and we love our regulars and newcomers and tourists. Stay tuned.
There's no doubt about it. There's no better feeling than being able to make someone's dream come true. Project 143 gives orphans the opportunity to leave their orphanage and visit an American host family. That could be your family. Each child's story and picture and more about hosting over Christmas or for a few weeks during the summer is available online at p143.org. There are 143 million orphans worldwide who need you. Consider hosting an orphan for a few weeks this year with Project 143. Find out more at p143.org.
Good Italian food, daily specials, and a place people enjoy is Spaghetti Eddie's. Indulge in their mouth-watering pizza, pasta, subs, salads, appetizers, and desserts. Open 7 days a week. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Taylor Road in Chesapeake for lunch or dinner, and like them on Facebook. Italian food you can count on is Spaghetti Eddie's.
There's a wonderful resource in the Shop with Praise bookstore. We're calling all children's ministry leaders, Sunday school teachers, parents, and children at large. The Shop with Praise bookstore is now carrying the 10-minute Bible journey, the big picture of Scripture in 52 quick reads. It's in the Shop with Praise bookstore now, so come on in and pick up your copy for only $5 or call us at 488-1010. That's the Shop with Praise bookstore at 488-1010.
Are you waking up with a damp, moldy, or mildew smell? Are you coughing all the time and blaming allergies? Over 30% of your household air comes from your crawl space. Schedule a free crawl space inspection and close your crawl space to prevent those microscopic allergens and spores in your household air. Install the Easy Breathe ventilation system talked about on the Gary Sullivan Show. Replacing that damp air with fresh, healthy air reduces allergens and other indoor toxins. To schedule your free inspection from the Crawl Space Company, call 757-394-3494. Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to gjbtv.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
All right, welcome back to Sports Scene right here on 100.1 FM, The Lighthouse, 1010 AM. Also, tunein.com, type in WPMH. Greg Bicouvaris, pleased to be joined in studio by the brand new head football coach at Hampton University, Robert Prunty. Good to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here.
What a journey it's been for you growing up in Virginia. You had some roots at Hampton as a student, and of course in Alabama and A&M. But talk about your football pedigree. How did it all get started?
Well, I mean, I started playing football at Hargrave Military Academy, and I went from there to Hampton University, and then played linebacker at Hampton University and went on to Alabama. And then I actually transferred with Coach Ed White, who was the coach then. I followed him. My mother, she ended up passing away, and I kind of followed Coach White over to Alabama A&M. But, I consider myself a Hamptonian because I started my career at Hampton.
One thing about playing football, then having a career in coaching, what has been the calling? What has made you sustain to coach? Because people always take that for granted sometimes. You've really paid your dues as an assistant coach, and sometimes, after a while, it's like you want to move on to a different career. So the key word is sustain. What has made Robert Prunty sustain?
I think my relationship with the good Lord goes back to, me being 9 years as a high school coach and then going to the postgraduate level 10 years. So, and then going on to college. So I've been to every level, but all the credit goes to the good Lord and just keeping me focused and letting me appreciate helping these young men any kind of way I can as far as on and off the field goes.
You talk about some of the coaching routes you've been at East Carolina, at Cincinnati, Texas Tech. You've been involved in bowl games too. And you look at East Carolina, they had a relationship there with the former head coach who was at Virginia for a while, of course. And you've been part of that mix that's really a close fraternity.
It is a close fraternity, and it's always, great to get that experience and play in a bowl game. And, all those things are with hard work, and at the end of the season you get rewarded like that. And also it gives you a lot of experience. So I played, I think, 5 bowl games, and it's been wonderful.
What did you get out of those bowl games? Those are exciting times. I mean, going to a bowl game is like an event. Coaches look at it as different, as more practice time for the returning players. So there really is a lot that goes into a bowl game because you do have time to prepare.
Exactly, and you get a chance to work with your young guys, the freshmen, the redshirt freshmen. You get those extra 20 practices or whatever it is. I think it's 20 or 21 practices. In some cases 15, but you get a chance to get that extra money and to work with them, and then also I think that the biggest thing was was having a chance to have my family, my wife and kids go with me to the bowl game. Because in coaching, you're putting 16 and 15 hours in a day. So for me to get that direct time with my family and have them enjoy the trip, because a lot of times when we go on the road, it's just us. But now our family get to go with us for a week, and I'm all about family.
Very good, absolutely. As we're talking to Robert Prunty, brand new head football coach with the Pirates, and you talk about some of your stops along the way. Talk about some nuggets that you can take from each school, like East Carolina, Cincy, and Texas Tech.
Well, I started at Texas Tech, and I learned quick. That Big 12 is a fast pace. It's fast. You got to coach fast in that level. Some of the guys that I had a chance to coach against, Art Browse, and phenomenal coach, Art Browse, offensive-minded guy. At that time, Mac Brown was still at Texas, and I was a defensive coach, so I had a chance to, and then of course you had Bob Stoops over at Oklahoma, and they had it was a great program. So you learn that the game is fast. You got to be prepared and you got to work hard, and that was one thing that I learned, the pace of the game, in the Big 12 and at Texas Tech. And then as I went to Cincinnati, it became more of a defensive game, and I learned, that you got to really hawk away on fundamentals and techniques, and then as I got to East Carolina, we got back into that fast pace again, sort of like the same thing that we faced in the Big 12. It became a spread offense. It became zone reads, NASCAR tempo type type formations as far as, 4 wides, 3 wides. And, so you get, you go from fast pace to defense to back to fast pace. So, you kind of learn on the fly.
And then you take adjustments at halftime. You have to reset and start all over. But you brought up a really good point about pace of the game. It's about measuring that clock and time management. A lot of coaches get criticized for time management, but you're multitasking constantly. Your staff is as well. Things change, could be a special teams, whatever. So you always really have to keep an eye on the clock and also the health of the players too.
Exactly. And the thing I tell, my coaching staff is that, you got to be prepared for anything when you're out there. I mean, the pace of the game can wear the players down. I mean, you can get an injury, and before you know it, the team has substituted and got a mismatch on you. So you got to be ready. You got to be alert, and especially, I think but one of the keys that I've learned, from the Big 12 is when you face those tempo teams, when it gets to your side of the field, you have to work your side of the field, because if it gets on their side, you're going to be at a disadvantage because they're going to be able to get their guys in faster.
You're a brand new head coach at Hampton. Some coaches like to delegate, but for you, I guess your first year, you really have to be hands-on in everything, offense, defense, and special teams. There's always coaches that have labels, coach, like I'm an offense guy, I'm a defense guy. You've pretty much been raised all three, right?
I have, but I'm glad I have, though, because all 3 phases is what wins the football game. I believe in delegating my responsibility, but I also believe in having overseeing it, as far as if the special team coach needs advice from me, I'm there to give it to him. If the offensive coordinator needs advice or the defensive coordinator needs advice. But when you become a head coach, to me, you need to know all 3 phases, because remember now, everything goes back to you. So you need to be, overseeing your whole football team.
Very good. Talking to Coach Prunty, also brought to you by C.P. Shuckers, locals tradition on Shore Drive, Pacific Avenue. People love their delicious food, great appetizers, steak bites, sandwiches, burgers, all the specials. Watch March Madness on TV. Go by and see Matt and Mark. For more, go to cpshuckers.com. You mentioned about family, but also to get your assistants, to get your guys in here. Coaches like to get people they're comfortable with. That's just whether it's business or pleasure. You have every right to do that, but also those assistants have to move their families as well. Let's talk about your staff. How has it been getting a staff?
It's been great. It's been great. I was very fortunate, and I thank God for that. I got the coaches I wanted. I got Hank Hughes as the defensive coordinator, and Hank was at Nebraska 2 years ago, and then he was at Davidson College. But Hank spent 11 years at UConn. He's been a defensive coordinator. I got Brian White, Brian's been at Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and Maryland in some capacity, and then he also was offensive coordinator at Division III school for 7 years. And then, we brought back a local guy, Bobby Blizzard. Bobby Blizzard would have mommy over in Bear Havens. He was the offensive coordinator. We was very fortunate to get Bobby back. Bobby is going to be an outstanding wide receiver coach. And then we had a young man who played quarterback at Hampton, and Octavius Cash, and he's back with us as far as being the quarterback coach and the passing game coordinator. And also we got Marcus Dixon, a former player, played in the NFL from, he's a Hamptonian, and he's doing a great job at the defensive line spot. And then we got Ryan Anderson, that was a linebacker coach at East Carolina last year. So we got Ryan now. He's coaching safeties and nickels. And then we got Kenya Blue that's with us, and Kenya is coaching the corners, and he was with me at Cincinnati. And you got Scott McConnell, who, come over from the shipyard, and he's coaching the tight ends, and he was with me at Hargrave, and then I brought in Mike, and Mike is from Duke University. He was a quality control guy. He's our special teams coordinator. And I got Hunter Williams, the football operations guy, that's with me. And I got Julius McNeil. Julius was at Tennessee Martin. Actually, when Tennessee Martin played Ole Miss last year, one of his running backs rushed for 160 yards, and he's our running back coach. So, when you sit down and look at it, all these guys got some type of history with me, so I got my guys.
And that's very important, too, because you want not to look over your shoulder and make sure somebody's not on the same page with you. But with that said, that takes time from you to get with the staff to go over your budget for coaches and so forth, because, right, their salaries are important, too.
Oh, no question. They got families.
Right. Well, let's talk about all these guys are your guys that you've handpicked, everybody for 2018?
Exactly.
That is so important because, like I said, sometimes, it's the good, bad, and ugly. When you do a carryover, there's always going to be that one player or one coach. And I know you've seen it all, Coach. You've seen it all. Well, we did it like this last year. Well, guess what? Last year means nothing right now.
Exactly. And, and I make sure that, that if – and that was my reason for getting my guys in here because they know me. They know my system. They know how I want to do it, and we trust each other. It comes down to trust and loyalty, and that's what I was looking for in this staff.
And that's the great thing, too, as we're talking to Coach Prunty, is that it does take an off season to get on the same page. I mean, that's what's so important about spring practice. A lot of fans think you just play one spring game, but everybody has to be aligned together before, summer practice starts and the football season starts in 2018.
Exactly. And just like you want the players, just like when your offense, you wanted to run together in accordance. So as a staff, we all got to be on the same page because if we're not on the same page, the players are going to see it. And that, of course, that wouldn't be a good situation. So we got to make sure that we all in the same tune.
When you talk about this area, you all know, you've heard about it even when you were on the road. You've got a hot area for recruiting right in your own backyard. Mike Smith, the head football coach in Hampton, has been there since 1971. So just that school alone. But you got Virginia Beach, you got both sides of the water, you've got Richmond, Northern Virginia. But, I mean, you've got a pretty good area right here for recruiting in Hampton Roads.
I mean, it wouldn't bother me if our whole signing class from the 757, we were even coming in as late. We actually end up signing 5 guys from the 757. So it's been great for us. I mean, great talent. You can look in the magazine and see how many guys have left here and went on to the NFL. And not only that, but how many guys have played on different teams in college football. Once again, I have no problem as our whole team our whole signing class was from the 757 because this is a very, very rich area with talent.
Speaking of which, who handles the recruiting? Because that's a full-time job to be on the road. Some coaches like to be on the road. Others want to be closer to home. How are you going about delegating recruiting? Because that's a touchy thing.
Right. Julius McNear is handling it. He's our recruiting coordinator. He's also our running back coach, and he's doing a great job of breaking down the areas. And we would do the whole state of Virginia. We would do the whole state of North Carolina, and we would do D.C. and Maryland. And we would dip into South Carolina, and we would dip into some of Atlanta and a very small part of Florida. But our team would more consist of, first, the state of Virginia, primary area, the 757, and then venturing out to North Carolina, D.C., Maryland.
I think it's good that way. We should have a focus. You've got roots in all those areas, so that helps, and so does the staff, too.
Exactly. And also, you and I both know these kids' parents can come see them play. When you start getting young men that's so far away, they have no connection. So we want to keep it where, guys can feel like, especially from the state of Virginia, Hampton is located in Virginia. So you kind of want to focus on the state of Virginia. And in primary, once again, it's in that 757 because, Hampton sits right in Hampton, Virginia. So for us to get kids around this area is wonderful.
Well, let's talk about that as well. You talk about the 757. What is right now the main focus for spring practice?
Technique and fundamentals, and we just looking to, get better and just teach these guys the game of football. Just slow it down for them and just hawk away on fundamentals.
Very good. And, of course, spring practice, there's a lot of things that go involved, the uniforms for the fall. Do you have any say in the uniforms? And talk about how you got here and your relationship with Coach Harvey. He's been here for several decades.
Well, I think the biggest thing is when I came here, President Harvey was one of the ones, one of the individuals who talked with me and Ollie Bowman but it all goes back to President Harvey. Just his vision. Me looking back at Hampton and what all done transpired in 40 years and what he have done with the, a thing that stands out with me was the Proton, cancer beam therapy research center is not just doing research, they doing treatment. The 4 satellites that's in space and the online continuing education program. And So Hampton got so many wonderful things going on, and we all know Hampton is a very, very high, academic school of excellence as far as education goes. So, it was an easy sale for me, and you just look around. Hampton continues to grow.
Right, and the school is right off the interstate. You're close to the south side. You got easy access. It's easy access for the fans on both sides of the water, too. But you mentioned Dr. Harvey. Really, I remember when my mom was National Teacher of the Year, way back in '89, he was right there at the White House with her. I understand, it's with his time, his talent, his treasure, to have a president who's been around for decades is almost unheard of, and he's a big sports fan, too.
Oh, he is, and he knows his game. He knows the game of football. He also knows the game of basketball, and that's what you want. When you get a job like this, you want a president who understands the game, because you feel like you got somebody at the top that can relate to you and what you go through.
What do you think the state of college football is? You look at the lower level, like the FCS, and then the FBS. One's got a playoff system, the other's got a bowl system with a Final Four, and then of course, there's some specialties in between. But let's just compare it to college basketball. I mean, you can't play that many games, but do you like the Final Four concept for the big schools, or you would rather see more? And how do you think about the whole playoff system? Because you experienced that with Division I schools,
right? I never really gave a lot of thought to it. I just, look at what's on the schedule and who we got to play and just try to win those games. Just never sit down and thought about, the playoff system. I just never gave a lot of thought to it. I mean, my focus every year when I go into it is to beat everybody on our schedule.
Very good. Talk about, for the people that don't know this, Coach, how many players can you dress home and away, and how many scholarship athletes are you allowed to have? A lot of fans don't know it.
Right. Well, at the FCS level, we're allowed to have 63 scholarships. You can have 85 players. At the BC, at the FBC level, of course, the FBS level, you're allowed to have 85 scholarships, and you can dress out 105. So it's a little different, but at the end of the day, though, is that I think being on the FCS level, I've learned coming here, I've came more closer to the players because we don't have as many, and you get a chance to build a closer relationship.
Talk about some fun stuff now on the road when you were, let's say, in East Carolina or Cincy. Feeding 300-pound men is not easy. Mm-hmm. Who coordinated the meals for you guys? That's a lot of food for a lot of hungry guys.
Yeah, well, nutritionists, in the strength and conditioning program. And I tell you a funny story, though. I was out recruiting a young man back at Cincinnati, and we was up in Cleveland, Ohio, and their mother, she was so happy to get that young man out of the house. And I was like, why does she want to get her son out of his house so bad? Well, I found out quick when two-a-days came, because every day when we went back around lunchtime, we had to go get that rascal out of the dining hall because he was eating us out of the dining hall. Goodness. So I can imagine what our food bill was. So I thought that was pretty funny on the road, but turned out to be a good young man. And ended up, getting he signed as a free agent in the NFL.
I was going to ask you the final question. Have you had a lot of NFL players at your various schools over the years? I'm sure you have. I
have. And, even at Hargrave, postgraduate, I think we had like 60 guys come through Hargrave that went on to the NFL. Mm-hmm. So I've had a chance to coach a lot of good ones.
You mentioned nutrition, the health, the safety, the helmets have changed, all the equipment's changed to keep those players safe, because football is a very physical contact sport.
Well, the game has changed. I mean, now you're dealing with bigger, strong, faster athletes. I mean, it's different. The speed of the game, every 5 to 10 years, you see something different. You see, we see a guy come on the field and he's 6'8". I'm scared to say this, what the size of guys could be 10 years from now. Because if you look at it, 20 years ago, guys were 6'3", and we thought they were just, mamac of guys as far as just being so physical, athletic, and big. But now we're looking at guys 6'6" and 6'8" and 300 pounds and running 4.7s and 4.8s, 40s. It's just the the whole game has changed. The physical makeup of these young men.
Totally. Coach, thank you for coming in here today. Good luck for the rest of spring practice. I know you're in good hands. You're back home. And what's the last thing you want to tell the fans of the 757 and beyond?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the fans. I've always felt like the fans is who drives the game. The fans drive the bus, and as coaches, we need to continue to put on a good product because a lot of fans go out and they work hard to pay to come see us, to come see the players, to come see the coach put on a good product. I'm going to do everything I can at Hampton University that we put a good product so when you pay to come see us play, you'll say, okay, I got my money's worth.
I think people are excited for a lot of reasons. And Coach Prunty, thank you for being here in the studio today, and all the best to your staff and your family and your time and your talent and treasure, because it's not just about 10 or 11 or 12 games. The season is pretty much year round.
Well, Greg, I tell you, I appreciate you. One of the very thorough interview, very professional, and just always surrounding myself around people like you and what you do on your radio station and the way you reach people. So, I'm very thankful to be, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, my friend. It takes a village, and you got our good buddy Jim Heath there as well. You're in good hands with public relations as well. All right, Sports Scene will continue after these messages. That, again, was the head football coach, brand new for 2018, Robert Prunty. We wish him, his family, and his staff all of the success, not only in the fall, but year-round. Stay tuned.
If you enjoy reading novels, you'll want to hear this. Our Shop with Praise bookstore shelves are full of titles from authors such as Karen Kingsbury, Beverly Lewis, Len Austin, Angela Hunt, Frank Peretti, and even James Dobson. You'll want to check out the selection of fiction available in the Shop with Praise bookstore. Hardcovers are just $5, softcovers are $3, and every dollar helps support the radio station. Give us a call at 488-1010 for directions to the store or how to make a purchase online. So come on in and shop with Praise.
Good Italian food, daily specials, and a place people enjoy is Spaghetti Eddies. Indulge in their mouth-watering pizza, pasta, subs, salads, appetizers, and desserts. Open 7 days a week. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Taylor Road in Chesapeake for lunch or dinner, and like them on Facebook. Italian food you can count on is Spaghetti Eddies.
Sunrise Music Festival 2018, the largest inspirational music festival in Hampton Roads, featuring Lecrae, Danny Goki, Building 429, Unspoken, Citizen Way, Rhett Walker Band, Aaron Cole, Dan Brimnes, and much more. Guest speaker Tom Henderson, emceed by Sean G. Park of TV One Life. Don't miss our Sunday sunrise worship service. Get your tickets today, including VIP tickets to meet the artists and to eat lunch with some of your favorite bands. Let's go to the 2018 Sunrise Music Festival, April 20th through 22nd at the Virginia Beach Oceanfront.
For tickets and more information, visit sunrisemen.org.
If you're looking for an Easter Sunday service, bring a blanket or chair to the 17th Street stage on the beach and worship with Virginia Beach United Methodist on Easter Sunday at 6:30 a.m. for their sunrise service. And if you're looking for a church home, visit one of Virginia Beach United Methodist's 3 services at 8 a.m., 9:30 a.m., or 11 a.m. They're located at 212 19th Street in Virginia Beach. For more information, call 757-428-7727 or log on to vbumc.org. You are listening to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Now, back to Greg. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
All right, welcome back to Highlights. For more, go to gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link for archive shows. As well, Sports Scene is online on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. on the Lighthouse 100.1 FM. Tell your friends, 10:10 a.m. and tunein.com by typing WPMH in the search box. Conference basketball tournaments, March Madness, NBA postseason is right around the corner. HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Bookmark it, folks. That's HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Browse, shop, visit GJBTV.com, HRSMHOF.com, and HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Our question of the day presented by Buffalo Wild Wings and Newport News. This is very relevant. Joe Daniel, should all schools now, elementary, middle, high school, public and private, have a police officer at all times?
Oh, wow. Very timely. I don't know. Yes, I think that would be a great solution and a deterrent for people who want to commit horrible crimes, just knowing that it's going to be a lot more difficult, knowing that a good guy is on the other side of that door inside the building. And hopefully it's a cheap solution as well. And economically speaking, I think that it would. There's a lot of, I know, retired people or people in the upper 40s, maybe 50 years old, who have retired from the military or police officer, and they're looking for something to do. And so just walking around the school and just making sure that everything is in order, I think is a pretty smart thing.
Yeah, they're talking about maybe arming police officers, of course, more, and of course, teachers and principals, but may the memory of those kids be eternal. The bottom line is all kids should be safe at home, on the road, and at school at all times. Also want to thank our good friends at Buffalo Wild Wings and Newport News for presenting that. Go by and see Paul and the great staff. Get some lunch and dinner. Excellent appetizers, salads, boneless traditional wings. That's what they're known for. Burgers, wraps, tenders, all the great adult beverages, sodas and tea, desserts, a kids menu, all the games on TV, wings, beer, sports, and of course wall-to-wall TVs for March Madness right there at the Patrick Henry Mall location in Newport News. Go by and see Paul and the great staff at 12150 Jefferson Avenue as well. Phone number is 249-3999. That's 249-3999. Open 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, late night. Buffalo Wild Wings in Newport News, next to Patrick Henry Mall. Stay tuned.
We're here early before they wake up. We stay late. We stay informed. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
We do this not because it's our job, but because this is about our veterans' lives. This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Good Italian food, daily specials, and a place people enjoy is Spaghetti Eddie's. Indulge in their mouth-watering pizza, pasta, subs, salads, appetizers, and desserts. Open 7 days a week. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Taylor Road in Chesapeake for lunch or dinner, and like them on Facebook. Italian food you can count on is Spaghetti Eddie's.
Ever felt as if life was creating a fog between you and God? Well, there's a treasure in the Shop with Praise store written by John MacArthur entitled None Other, Discovering the God of the Bible. It engages such topics as the character and nature of God, God's election of His children. It examines the question of why bad things happen to God's people. It's a read guaranteed to help lift the fog. So come on down to the Shop with Praise store or call 488-1010 for more information. That's Shop with Praise at 488-1010.
Sports and Imports, located at 1322 Transylvania Avenue in Chesapeake. Sports and Imports specializes in all European models without the European price. ASE certified and Bosch certified. Don't waste time and money guessing what the problem is. Sports and Imports can pinpoint the problem and fix it the first time. Make an appointment today. Financing is available. Visit sportsandimports.net or call 545-9394. Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Email bicogb@hotmail.com. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris in the Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com studios.
All right, welcome back to Sports Scene. Just a reminder, too, Monday on CBS is the premiere of Living Biblically, joining a lineup of great comedies that begins with Kevin Can Wait, Man with a Plan, and Superior Donuts. All new beginning Monday at 8 p.m., 7 Central, only on CBS. Member of the Hampton Roads Sports Media Hall of Fame Board, former Daily Press employee, and now with Norfolk State for several years. Let's welcome Matt Michalec. How are you, Matt?
Good, Greg. How are you?
Very good, my friend. Let's talk about, first of all, what's front and center. That's the MEAC basketball tournament. Hard to believe it's right around the corner.
I know. Starts Monday, so we're real excited about that and glad to be back in the scope. A great chance to play pretty close to NSU. Hopefully get a nice crowd out there with the home fans, and it's always a nice setting. It's really done well, I think, in Norfolk, and should be an exciting week of basketball.
Well, let's talk about it. It's been several years now in Norfolk, but the one thing missing is Norfolk State. It's kind of funny. They made the NCAA tournament, I believe, 2012, when it was not at Norfolk, but this year, the last 6 years, it's been in Norfolk, and I know Norfolk State, the alumni, the fans, you're the closest school there, want to see you guys cut the nets down on Saturday.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. The team really got off to a bit of a slow start at times this year, but it's really bounced back well. Reaching up into a first-place tie this past week after a nice run of recent success, and made it to the championship game last year. Unfortunately, fell a little bit short against North Carolina Central last year. Had a real nice crowd for that final last year at the Scope, and hopefully they can keep that run of success going and just kick down the door this time. As you said, it's been 2012, the last MEAC championship, but NSU's always one of the teams right there in the thick of it. They've made the semifinals or the final every year, or at least the last 5 years, I should say, that it's been in scope. So hopefully this is their year.
Yeah, talking to Matt Michalec, and Matt, you talk about some of the national exposure Norfolk State's gotten. Really good TV exposure on ESPNU this year.
Yeah, 2 televised games. Fortunately, both victories here in the last month. We had a home win, 35-point victory over Delaware State on ESPNU. That game was played at Eccles Hall at Norfolk State a couple of weeks ago, and then this past Monday, defeating Howard up in Washington, D.C., always a difficult place to play, but that's always a real nice thing that the MEAC has, is a good TV presence on ESPNU, and of course the championship games this week will be televised as well for the men and the women.
Well, let's talk about that. What goes on behind the scenes for each school at the MEAC, and did you have to play a little bit bigger part since you're the host school primarily?
Yeah, I mean, still the city of Norfolk is technically the host, but obviously with us being the closest school, it's a bit of a balancing act. You know, we're obviously have to be there to take care of our games, but we try to pitch in and help the MEAC Media Relations Office, speaking from the standpoint of my staff, help the MEAC Media Relations Office with anything that they might need as well. And sometimes our campus will get used for practice or for staging other events as well. But it's sort of a double-edged sword. It's nice to be able to play in your backyard, have the home fans out, but certainly, as you alluded to earlier, that probably raises expectations a little bit, especially since the NSU men in particular have had such a good run of recent success. People think that, hey, it's in our backyard and therefore we should win it, but doesn't always work out that way, because that comes with a little bit of added pressure as well.
Yeah, it hasn't happened yet. Who knows? Maybe 2018 it will happen, but it'll be a big day on March 10th. ESPN cameras will be there once again. That's always a lot of fun. And when you make the NCAA tournament, you remember it 6 years ago, that really brought a lot of buzz and instant credibility to Norfolk State.
It did. Still a wonderful time. Everyone who was a part of that, it's certainly something that we'll never forget. And the great thing about it is it's just everything moves so fast. You know, you win the championship on Saturday. The following day, Sunday, is the selection show. Then you're flying out somewhere Monday, maybe Tuesday at the latest, wherever your first round destination would be. But it's certainly the exposure that the NCAA tournament can bring to a school is really unparalleled for any other sport. For a school our size, being able to play and be a part of March Madness and be on CBS and TNT and have opportunities like that. And of course, when you win and you pull off a big upset like we did 6 years ago with a 15 seed beating a 2, which has only happened 8 times now in the history of the tournament, it certainly is something that you'll never forget, from the hits on our website to the papers and TV stories that cover us on a national level. We certainly got a lot of exposure from that, and I imagine even to this day, I'm sure a lot of casual basketball fans still will know who Norfolk State is based on what we did that one day beating Missouri 6 years ago.
And one of your players played for the Knicks.
Absolutely, Kyle O'Quinn. Yeah, it's really turned a nice pro career from a great 4-year career at Norfolk State. You know, he was always a tremendous player, three-time All-MEAC player for us, but it wasn't until he had 26 points against Missouri that year when his name really became a national name, and he rode that into winning the MVP of the PIT tournament in Portsmouth after the tournament, and now going on, or I should say in his 6th year in the NBA, playing with his hometown New York Knicks, since he's a kid from the Bronx. So that's certainly been a great story, and he's definitely made a nice career for himself after he left Norfolk State.
We're talking the MEAC tournament as well, and of course talking with Matt Michalec, of course. Talk about how you juggle it, Matt, because pretty much for football it's a little bit easier as far as the travel compared to basketball. They're always on the road. For you, you know you're going to play a set amount of home games, which is no travel, and then of course the geographic road games too. Talk about how you handle the SI duties at Norfolk State.
Well, I'm fortunate, first of all, to have a real good staff. My assistant, Mike Bello, who's been with me since 2010, and our intern this year, Matt Wurzberger, who works with our women's basketball team. They do a great job as well, but certainly it's a challenge. Anytime the team goes on the road, it's usually for basketball anyway, is a 2-city road trip. Usually play, at one Baltimore school on Saturday and the other in the MEAC on Monday. So, it's a 4-day road trip for whoever makes that trip, having to balance the social media, updating the website, our radio coverage as well, and of course getting the information out to our local media back in Norfolk as well. It's certainly a challenge, but it's something that we enjoy. That's why we're in the business.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about your duties as well. You're a board member with the Hampton Roads Sports Media Hall of Fame, and of course we have our big ceremony May the 12th. What have you enjoyed the most about your media career, because you've worked in the Daily Press too?
That's a tough one, but it's been real nice getting to work in this area, especially since I grew up in Newport News, went to school at Old Dominion. I've had a chance when I first started to break into the newspaper industry. I got a chance to meet a lot of wonderful reporters on both sides of the water, both at the Daily Press and the Virginia Pilot, and then of course working with the great local TV broadcasters we have in this area as well. What's really nice is that there's so much continuity over the years. Folks at the Daily Press like Dave Teal, Dave Johnson, Marty O'Brien, who have been there and stay there for years and are really, household names when it comes to who you get your media coverage from. And of course on the TV side, you've got guys like Bruce Rader, Scott Cash, Brian Smith, who've all been at their job for 20, 30-some years. So I think just having that history of the media and the continuity is definitely a nice thing, and I think it speaks well to our area that we have so many award-winning broadcasters and writers in our area who come here, and this is sort of the destination for them. They're not necessarily coming here to try to find the next big job. This is a big job in a great area because it's such a melting pot of sports, from college to semi-pro and pro.
You could really freelance too. I take advantage of that. It's not just working in Norfolk or Virginia Beach and go all over the area, but you can still have a home base. And this is my home base. I know it's your home base, and we love it. We call it home as well. Well, let's talk about the upcoming football season. We won't talk about the schedule, but let's just talk about for the coach. He's coming back several years now of continuity. That means a lot as well. I know he wants to get to the next level as far as a winning record and go from there.
Yeah, I think we were right on the cusp of that winning season last year. A couple of close games in the fourth quarter that didn't go our way, that if they had, we'd be talking about a different outcome. But Coach Latrell Scott's entering his 4th year as the head coach of the Spartans. 4 victories last year, but some really notable wins last year, including a win at North Carolina Central, which had won the MEAC title back in 2016. That was really a landmark win for the program, and you can really see his imprint now on the program now that he's had 3 or 4 recruiting classes. The team was really young last year and the year before that, but they've started to gain experience together, and we're really hopeful that they'll be able to turn the corner this year to really become a MEAC contender, because we really competed with the teams that finished toward the top of the conference last year, winning 4 ball games in the conference. So we're hoping that that success and that upward trajectory will continue here in 2018.
Absolutely, and of course, Norfolk State's also had some great exposure in football as well, and of course, pro athletes too. A lot of pro athletes in your several years have gone on from Norfolk State that have played now in the NFL.
Yeah, certainly one of the more notable stories that's come out of Norfolk State on the football side in recent years has been Don Carey, who was a little known and lightly recruited defensive back out of Booker T. Washington High School in Norfolk. He was the first recruit for our previous head coach, Pete Adrian, when Coach Adrian took over in 2005. He's now going on his 10th season in the NFL, currently plays with the Detroit Lions, really has made a name for himself, not only as a defensive back, but a great special teams player. And he's still active here locally in our community as well, so we get to see Don come back here in the area, and he really likes to give back to the community as well. We also had Deion King, who was an All-American linebacker a couple of years ago, led the nation in tackles. He's bounced around a little bit, finished the year on the practice squad of the Jacksonville Jaguars, so he got to experience some of that playoff run with Jacksonville this past year, and hopefully he's got bigger and better things ahead of him as well. Another great success story. NSU's really had a lot of success, and you mentioned Kyle Quinn in basketball, of finding sort of the untapped talent, maybe guys who weren't quite as highly recruited, but were sort of diamonds in the rough, and were able to come to Norfolk State and develop, and have turned into pro-level talent, and they've really taken advantage of their opportunity at Norfolk State to build on that and make a pro career for themselves.
Matt, of course, you see the SID, you oversee the staff. Of course, you have a great staff. Does it help, though, being a young father with young kids, just to keep football as opposed to, let's say, more of an Olympic sport where you're traveling more? Does that help you personally?
Yeah, it definitely helps. Definitely helps to really get as much experience. We have 15 total sports teams at Norfolk State, and as you mentioned, football and basketball are kind of the heavy ones from a travel standpoint. But we're also getting into the spring sports season as well, with baseball, track and field, and softball and tennis as well. So it's never a dull moment being a sports information director. You get a chance to experience a lot of different sports, a lot of different events, and it really helps you to become well-rounded in what we do in the sports media business.
We're still in winter, technically. What about the bowling? I mean, fans seem to love bowling. Talk about the bowling event that the MEAC's involved with the NCAA tournament and TV.
Yes, the MEAC championship for the last several years, I want to say it's now going on 6 years, the MEAC bowling tournament has been held in Chesapeake, usually at the AMF lanes in Chesapeake. Bowling is a sport that a lot of people don't know a lot about, but especially on the women's side has really taken off. It's a sport that the MEAC sponsors. We do have scholarship women's bowlers at Norfolk State and at the majority of the schools in the MEAC, and it's a sport that the MEAC's had a lot of success with on the national level. University of Maryland Eastern Shore has won a couple of national titles in NCAA women's bowling. NSU has been ranked in the top 25 of the national coaches poll now for the last several seasons. And we're coming up with the end of bowling season. It usually coincides pretty closely with the basketball tournament as well, usually 1 week later in March. But that's another sport you can definitely learn more about if you check out our website, nsuspartans.com. We're coming down to the end of the season. MEAC championship just a few weeks away in Chesapeake. So it's a little bit of a different environment. You know, you're bowling on a team. You're bowling for yourself and for your score, but also have 4 teammates that you combine scores with. So it's a unique event. If you ever get a chance to go see a team bowling competition, definitely take advantage of that opportunity if you can.
All right, give us the website for the MEAC tournament for next week.
For next week, you can go to meachoops.com. That has the schedule of games as well as other events surrounding the tournament as well. meachsports.com is their main website for all sports, but you can get tournament information in both locations.
Very good. Matt, all the best to you. We'll see you at the MEAC Championship.
Sounds great, Greg. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right, Matt Michalec right there, SID for Norfolk State. I want to thank our good friends at Craft Burger Bar at 1706 Mediterranean Avenue in Virginia Beach. Go by and see Jamie and the wonderful staff. Get some great craft chili, fried house pickles, the Wagyu burgers, the Coronado, the Greek, the pepper, the shroom, or the sunrise, and many, many more burgers. Excellent toppings, Carolina snap dogs, chicken sandwiches, salads, vegan burgers, house-cut fries, beer battered onion rings, right there at 1706 Mediterranean Avenue in Virginia Beach. Give them a call at 502-4883. That's 502-4883 for the Craft Burger Bar.
What tees you off? Presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
All right, also, before we get to what teased me off, don't forget, get the CBS Sports app for inside access to your favorite teams. Watch highlights, get breaking news, scores, and more. Download the CBS Sports app today. Also, our good friends at Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville. Mike and the staff have a nice dining area for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Burgers, steaks, soups, salads, appetizers, seafood, pasta, chicken ribs, chops, appetizers, desserts, beverages, dine-in or carry-out. Right there at 1255 Fordham Drive in Kempsville. Give them a call at 523-4832. Open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. Good times at Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville. Enjoy your next meal right there in Virginia Beach today. All right, let's get to what teased me off. Always a lot of fun right here with Joe Daniel. Busybodies, Joe Daniel, you know who they are. They have to know what's going on at all times, being in your business, whether they know you personally or not.
Yeah. People who, the snooper, who constantly, they live next to their window, peeping out and just keeping tabs on everything. And then they always gossip, I'm sure, as well with their friends, and need to be in the know and the up and up regarding everything.
But really, not just that, but could be at church, busybodies, could be at work, could be somebody you deal with, somebody, your wife's friends, who always want to know what's going on, whether it's your job or your family.
Yeah, in the know. Want to stay in the know. It's fine being busy, but it's that constant being in your business. That's different. Idle hands, people, I understand the wanting to do something and build something and create something. But as far as actually getting in your business and then sharing your business with other people, that's a line.
And that's called social media.
Yeah, right.
But also, not to mention, too, in your bubble, you made up a really good point several shows ago. When you go to a store, let's say when you're by yourself away from the family, or the post office or the bank, whenever you go to a big box store, you try to get in, you try to get out with a whole lot of less minutia and a lot of chit-chatting. That's not always easy, whether it's the parking lot, the checkout line, or dealing with the customer service.
Yeah. No, because people, I think, want to be friendly, and they at least want to acknowledge. But for me, it's just like, I'm in their store to just purchase a few items, let me grab my items and get out as quickly as possible.
Right, because sometimes the more you talk, the more it can get you in trouble, too. Yeah. It just happens that way. I remember one time, I'll say this, I was at a checkout line, and I was too close for some reason, and the people were looking over your shoulder. So you can't win when you're out and about unless you know the person personally, like I know you. All right, what else teased me off? Insecure people who like control. One thing is to delegate, and the other thing is to micromanage.
Yeah, the helicoptering and making sure and keeping tabs, absolutely. Delegate and then just trust. And I understand, you constantly want to control things, but eventually you just got to trust that people will do the right thing in their own time and also appreciate your time.
And this is the worst thing, we've talked about this before too, is name dropping. When you're at a banquet and you're speaking, don't just say John and Susie did good when there's 9 other people on the group. You are going to offend someone.
Yeah, the name dropping, or just the affiliation. Oh yeah, my good friend whoever it is, it's some celebrity, a local celebrity. I know him, and we're on a first name basis, and I text him all the time.
Right, like we have a producer on this show. It's Joe Daniel Gutierrez. We mention Joe Daniel all the time. We don't have 5 other producers, but if we did, we'd have to mention them.
Yeah, give everybody their due. They're all working hard and all deserve it.
All right, here's something totally funny. Opposite. When you're offered an assignment and people keep passing the buck, dropping the ball, let somebody else do it. Or those that say, oh yeah, I'll do it. They'll raise their hand at the meeting and they'll disappear like the witness protection program.
Welcome to politics. That's exactly politicians, verbatim.
Well, you're exactly right. Colleges that sell out to big donors and putting themselves in seats the media once had front and center, putting them in suites is my idea. Okay, I was at a basketball game recently. We like our elbow room. We like our space. We've got to work TV and radio. We really don't need fans right in our crawl. I mean, really, let's have some elbow room when you work. My thing is, when you're doing radio or TV or voicing a spot or doing a commercial or announcing a game or whatever, you need the proper elbow room.
Yeah, a space just to keep your head clear. When there's so much noise and ambient sound all around you, it's hard for you to focus and what you actually have to do and actually have that professional quality that you're seeking.
This is a tough one right here because this happened during the daytime recently, and this can affect family with kids. When you go to a restaurant and you expect to go there during the daytime, but you're sitting not too far from drunks who are making loud noises or banging their fist on the counter at a table during daylight hours with kids around. That can be really offensive, and it can be borderline anger.
It's bad. It's just tacky in general, just because I understand there's alcohol involved and you're not making the best decisions, but at the same time, at least kind of be a little more aware and not try to swear. That's one thing that gets me, the swearing, just the overt blatantness and rudeness of just swearing and being profane when there's kids around. And like, do that at home. You're out in public, conduct yourself a little more respectable, especially around kids.
You're right, because not just knocking your fist, but then to get a glass that you're drinking and slam it on the table is even louder, and it can reverberate throughout the entire room.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
There's no TV loud enough to block that. Also want to thank our good friends at Panera. All items 100% clean. They deliver catering. Take advantage of the rapid pickup option. Soups, sandwiches, salads, bagels, bread, smoothies, breakfast sandwiches. They have it all. Cookies, desserts, refreshing beverages. Go by and see Brian and the staff. For more, log on to PaneraBread.com. Food as it should be. Right there in Harborview in Suffolk at 6255 College Drive. Phone number is 483-3670. Open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. PaneraBread.com in Harborview. All right, I want to thank our guests right here on Sports Scene. Another great show. Thank you to Joe Daniel. For more, log on to gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link for archive shows. Interact with me 24/7 on Twitter at Greg Bick, GregBic. And our good friends at Sakura Japanese Restaurant. They deliver through orderup.com. Phone number is 410-4577, right there in Chesapeake at the Walmart Lake Crossing at 1437 Sam's Drive. So at Greg Bick on Twitter. For more, go to gjbtv.com, and we will talk to you soon.